Hello, letting people in. We will get going here in a minute or less. I suppose technically we've got about 15 seconds till top of the hour. Excited about this webinar today. Got a special guest, which I will announce in a second. There you see her hand raised. You probably already know who is with because you recognize her face and you see her name on this first slide. So we are past the top of the hour, so I am going to get started as a few more people keep coming in here today. So I want to thank everybody for being here. We are continuing our discussion on ways that we can avoid burnout, the ways we could become more efficient. And today with Dawn Brolin, we'll be talking about ways you could beat burnout with technology integration and delegation, workflow delegation. So those are going to be two key topics we talk on today. We have this overall theme that you're going to see from us going forward here for a while, bridging the gap from burnout to better you, better team, better firm. That's what we'll be talking about today. We will actually have other bridging the gap topics that we will go over, and then culminating with our conference at the end of August. All right, a little housekeeping before we jump in. And I want to get through this fairly quick because Dawn has a lot to say today. This is available for CPE. You need to stay logged in for at least 50 minutes, and you need to answer 3 of the 4 polling questions that pop up. Very simple polling questions. You'll see as we get to them today. If you are not using the Zoom app, which is not the phone app, not an iPad app, just there's an app on your computer. If you're not using that, if you're just logged in through the website, you very well will get the polling questions blocked. So make sure you turn your blocker off. And if you don't, just answer the polling questions in the chat. So just wanted to let you know that the certificates, the CPE certificates will be mailed out within 2 to 3 days after this presentation. In addition, just check your spam, junk. Occasionally, we've had a few people have the certificates, the emails go to that. And the slides will be available in the chat today. I'm pretty sure Mark will be putting them in there. If not, or in addition, they will be emailed to you with their certificates. But this is going to be more of a Q&A today, so the slides aren't going to be as important. Let me introduce Dawn, but then I'm not going to give her a few minutes to speak for a while yet. Sorry, Dawn. But Dawn is a great friend of mine. She's an awesome person. She is the founder of Team Brolin, which I officially became a member of this past week. Got my Team Brolin jersey.
Yes, sir.
All right, nice. She is author of the Designated Motivator and the Designated Motivator for Accounting Professionals. She is the CEO of an accounting firm, a CPA firm based out of Connecticut called Powerful Accounting. How did I mispronounce it that one time?
Oh, I don't even know what you said, but it was hilarious.
She is very influential, according to Accounting Today, and everybody that meets her, 2018, 19, 20, 21, 100 most influential people in accounting. I actually serve on the Intuit Tax Council with her. She's also on the ADP Advisory Board and Valera Accountant Council. You can see the other things there. She hosts her own podcast, Insightful Accountants, Top Niche Practice Pro Advisor. Lots of things you can say about Dawn. One of the, I think, best is that she is extremely entertaining and knowledgeable when she's presenting. There's me. We don't need to know anything about that because this is all about Dawn today.
Oh, you're awesome, Randy. I'll introduce Randy. Let me introduce Randy for you here today, folks. Randy Crabtree and I met at the Intuit Accountant Advisor Board, and we were immediate friends. It's just that one person you're just like, I don't know if I've ever met a nicer guy in my life besides my own husband than Randy Crabtree, co-founder and partner of Tri-Merit Specialty Tax Professionals, where they are getting there's Kristen Keith. I love that. He's getting my clients all kinds of ERC money legally, by the way. And also he's getting some R&D credits that he's working through. Awesome. He's a host of the Unique CPA podcast. I think it's the top 1% of all podcasts. I think that statistic's incorrect. Author articles for Accounting Today, speaks on webinars from his heart. Randy is a guy who wears his heart on his sleeves. He really reminds me a lot of Eric Green, to be honest. Eric Green will do anything for anyone at any time. And Randy is the same way. 2-time finalist for Top 100. We're going to get him over the mark next year. Of course, member of the Intuit Council and a board member of the very important, and I'm sorry that wasn't on my previous slide, the newly founded Accounting Cornerstone Foundation, where we are helping people go to in-person learning and build the relationships such as we have, Randy and I, Kristen Keats, who's in the chat, and so many others, where we all there to support each other. And the more you can surround yourself with people, the better. And so, Randy, thank you so much for being part of that foundation as well. And I will hand it back to you.
Wow, I am motivated already. Thank you, Dawn. Let's keep going. I'm going to recap last week. Last week was a huge success. We did this webinar called Taking Taxing Out of Tax Season, How to Avoid Burnout. Get your phones out, scan that QR code. It'll take you to the YouTube channel. So take a look at that. You don't need to see that before this. This is kind of an extension of that one, but this is just another thing that we can do to be more efficient. So I just want to give you a quick update on what we did last week and why are we doing this? Because we want to be better. We want our profession to be better. We want our professionals to be better. There is a stigma a little bit, or there is a perception of burnout, but it's not just a perception, it's reality. And what can we do to fight that? So in 2019, AICPA did a survey. They found that about half of US CPAs reported feeling burned out. I mean, that's way too high. And we're going to learn a lot from Dawn today on how she avoids that. But the other thing that scares me a lot is that as a profession, we are 25% more likely to develop depression compared to other professionals. And it's because of this truncated, in my mind, this truncated stress, uncontrolled stress that happens during tax season that just is not a 2.5 month thing, 3.5 month thing, because it affects you the whole year round. And so we need to figure out ways where we can be better, more efficient at what we're doing. Last week, we gave you some simple and some more in-depth things, but simple things you can do. You know, you need to take breaks during tax season, take a walk. And I know you think you can't leave your desk. You can. I'm not going to read through all these, but there's things we talked about. Go listen to last week's. You know, some of the bigger things I think we need to do is really block off time on your calendar. You need to focus. You need to set time where you can do these high brain power tasks that you need to do. But then you need to learn how to shut off at the end of the day. And that's extremely important. So we went over that last week. And then I think Dawn may even touch on this, but right sizing your firm is extremely important too. You do not, and I know mentally, we all think that we have to help everybody. We don't. There are certain clients that will be better suited elsewhere, and it's not terrible thing to just concentrate on the clients that really maybe fit your niche, fit your passion. And so those are things we talked about last week. And so this week, and I told Dawn I'd probably take 10 minutes. I only took 8 minutes. All right. So this week, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what you can do to help your team, yourself, your clients, your firm, everything. And a big part of what Dawn is going to talk about today is this technology integration and delegation. And so without further ado, I will let the designated motivator come back in and talk again. But Dawn, let's just go over, let's start with just this. We just finished tax season. So how was this tax season for you and your team?
Yeah, so it was a great tax season because I felt like I worked with more awareness. I think that was probably a lot more calm and a lot more awareness. I felt much more prepared. I felt like, you know, our systems and the technology that we've chosen to work with our company has really benefited us and minimized the administrative work. We kind of righted the ship, as you kind of mentioned before, that we don't feel like we have to service everybody, and we've made decisions, and we did pare our client list down in the fall of 2022 to be prepared for 23, which allowed us to do a better job of serving our clients. And, you know, we'll get into the whole relationship pricing conversation at some point here today, but by making that shift and really learning to set the priorities in a way that allowed us to operate as professional as possible, get tax returns out the door, but be more mindful and aware of the clients. And I'll give you a simple example. You know, we have one client that's in relationship pricing, and he's like, my mom, she does her tax return by hand, and I want her to come to you. I want you to do her tax return for her. Now, historically, with the hair on fire, and just trying to get returns done. And I can't imagine having to do one more. It was more like, bring her in, bring mom in. We're going to sit with mom. She got to be comfortable with me. We talk. I'll look at her returns, which she did, by the way, Randy, by hand.
Wow.
I mean, by hand. There's not one doubt in my mind she's paid more in tax than she ever should have based on what I reviewed, but we didn't go there. But just, again, being mindful and feeling like I had the capacity to say, yeah, you know what? I don't like in-person tax returns myself. I'm not a big fan of appointments and having them come and sitting for a while. You're doing the return, they're sitting in front of you. And we kind of nixed that a handful of years ago, but there's still people who want to come in. We just require them to give us their stuff ahead of time now so that I can be prepared for when they come in. But it was just a sense of calm and awareness more than I'd ever had before.
All right. So you've already, obviously you just talked about one thing that you do already to be more efficient. They have to send information to you ahead of time. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of processes and procedures you put in place, but looking at this tax season in general, you know, you've set the stage for over the years with your tech stack and all these things, but each year I assume you sit down, debrief after tax season and then say, okay, now what can we do better this next year, and not waiting until December or January to start putting these things in place. Let's look at it today so that it's fresh in our mind and we can go. So have you done that this past tax season already?
Yes. And actually, so to just back up a little bit,
yep,
we made a shift for this tax season. We changed part of our starting lineup. I was previously using Quotient as a quoting tool because I knew a handful of years ago, I needed to take the emotion of quoting tax returns. So I didn't really want to know anything. I wanted a copy of their tax return. Tracy will talk to the client, you know, the new potential, we call them potential clients because we don't know if they're going to agree. She'll talk to them, get some details. Has anything changed from your previous year? If so, like, did you buy another rental property? Blah, blah, blah. She goes through, she knows what to ask, gets the copy of the return. I don't know anything about them because here's what happens. I get on the phone with them. They tell me all their woos and woes and oh, it's too bad. And then I feel bad for them. And then I don't want to charge them as much as I would normally charge them. Right. So I'm like, okay, I got to do something about this emotion thing. Right. So I implemented Quotient and it worked great for the time that I had it. But it was a really simple, basic tool that didn't do much more than send them the quote, send them the engagement letter, which I kind of made it work as part of the engagement letter. Didn't receive payment, didn't do anything else. So I said, okay, I need to do something better. I was sending out videos by email to my clients with here's what we're going to do this year, guys. It's going to be great. And then, I mean, there were just a lot of administrative processes that we had to take. We implemented Ignition this year because hand over fist, people are telling me, Brolin, you got to get Ignition. You got to get Ignition. And when I looked at it, I said, wait a second. So what you're telling me is I can create a quote, a proposal based on the forms, just like I did before. It allows me to embed the video. It allows me to have them enter their payment information. Historically, we were collecting it. That's risky. You don't want to be collecting people's payment information as much as you can. It lets them do that. And this year in my video, I set the stage to say, this is how it's going to go this year, guys. We have a new system you can see. It's called Ignition. You're going to put your payment information. We're not going to ask for your payment information anymore, blah, blah, blah. Once we, do the 8870, we get that back, we're going to charge you for your return. We've already assessed this year that we're going to change that we're going to have people prepay for their tax returns.
I was wondering. Okay.
So I personally wasn't comfortable because I'm already making a change. I didn't want to make the change to Ignition with, a different system and then be like, and you're going to pay your tax bill up front, whatever. I just felt like I wanted to get that rolling. That was just my preference. Doesn't mean that that's what you should do. But we went through the season. I'm like, you know what? This is a pain in the neck going in every time I got an 88.7. I mean, it's not that complicated with Ignition. You just go in and click a button and they process it. It's not hard, but it was one more thing to do.
Right.
So I already know next year for tax season, I'm going to save time not having to worry about doing that stuff. It already does the accounting for you. It sends an invoice over. And then when the payment processes, it sends the payment over into QuickBooks Online for me. I don't ever touch it. So essentially, I've eliminated accounts receivable. No more accounts receivable, which I don't have because I wouldn't file the return unless I got paid.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been working, and this is not this is good, not good, bad, or ugly in any way, shape, or form. We've been using Carbon for a long time. And there are things in it that it just isn't doing for us this is a really dumb one, Randy. This is dumb. And this is from Tracy. She wants to search for phone numbers.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. Before I jumped on this call, I got 2 phone calls to my personal cell phone, because I have 2. I have a business and a personal, because when I leave this office, this one stays here.
Nice.
When I'm out of here, I'm done. People, I know that that's crazy, but I pay for 2 I don't care. The costs associated with clients who want to call, most of my clients have this number, right? My friends have this number. Randy, you have this number because you're my friend, right?
All right. Thank you.
So 2 phone calls, bang, bang, on this personal phone. I want to see if it's a client because they shouldn't have my personal phone number. So I want to go in and start. Simple example, just a simple example, but it happens to Tracy a lot. Different things that happen and she wants. We can't get that done. We're not getting that done. I know it's coming, but I can't wait for the it's going to come thing. So we sat down and we said, what are the benefits? What are the pros and cons of moving to another solution? The roadmap. So we looked today at Financial Sense. Kelly Parks is a big fan of Financial Sense. And so I've seen her and I watch Facebook groups a lot. I pay attention to what's going on. And a lot of people say, oh, Financial Sense. And I'm like, I got to take a look at this thing. And I had a demo this morning and it was unbelievable. But the things that it did, I'm going to give you one example. You want to talk about minimizing your having to be in that office and working and reassessing how you approach your workday. It's a whole nother conversation, Randy. When you come in the office, what are you doing? Most people, I would think, this is true if we did a survey, most people are going to open their email. That's the last thing I want to do is open that thing. I don't want to go in there.
I agree.
And you know what Financial Sense does? When you click on inbox, you can filter for just your clients.
Oh, that's nice.
It has it. So when I come in, it doesn't mean that I'm going to change the way I work. I'm not going to just come in and open my email. But when I do approach email, the first people I'm going to answer on email are my clients. Because the clients keep the lights on, baby. So yes, we have reassessed and we are in search of a better tool that really meets our needs. And I think that that's important, people. If it doesn't, don't try to fit a circle into a square. And, anybody who's been around QuickBooks for years and years and years, and we're desktop lovers, we are the kings and queens of workarounds. If there's anyone that can work around a problem, are people who know QuickBooks Desktop. We made that thing do things it never was meant to do, right? So, but that's not what a workflow tool is supposed to do. So I was really, really impressed with it. And so, of course, Tracy has to have the final say on anything that has to do with her job. And so, she's going to be the final say on that.
All right. And before we go to the next, I'm going to put the first polling question up. I told you these are very easy. Here it goes. Are you there?
Oh,
yes or no?
I don't know if I can get this one. I can't vote anyway as a panelist, but this is a tough one.
Yeah. So far, 15% of the people are not here.
Yeah, right.
So I'm going to leave this up a second, but while we're doing that, we can continue to talk.
Yeah.
And so you already started talking about reassessing success and what it means to you. Is there anything else we want to add to that? You're obviously constantly looking for ways to be more efficient. Anything else you want to add there?
Yeah, I think just from a technology perspective, and we'll talk about the tech stack a little bit later, we'll get into that, but it's really important that you have technology solutions that integrate. 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, maybe, we just needed apps to solve our problems. I don't think we were so laser focused on integrations, but for us, we are always looking at, is this a better tool? I'm not trying to switch out my tech stack, man. If it works, don't fix what isn't broken. Just because a shiny penny flashes by your eyes, ooh, this looks cool, but is it going to fix something that's broken? And that's what you have to think about. I think that's important to note.
Okay. All right. So when we're looking then at creating a workflow plan, how do you suggest people do this? Creating this, and obviously the bottom line goal is to, create efficiencies or eliminate inefficiencies. Do you have a plan in place that you can share?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started really building my tech stack, like I said, integrations wasn't totally at the forefront. But as I learned that the integrations would solve for more data entry, less data entry, we'd enter them in Lacert, then we would enter them in, Carbon, then we would enter them in QBO, then we'd enter them over here, enter them over there. And, that data is never going to always match up. What we put an initial in one system, so it's Dawn W. Brolin in one system, and the other system is Dawn Brolin, or it's Dawn and Kevin Brolin, or whatever. And so we realized that as we were creating this workflow to, honestly, if at all possible, eliminate. It's just like risk. You can't eliminate, but you can minimize it. We want to minimize administrative work as much as possible. Because at the end of the day, we want to pay more attention to the clients themselves, pay attention to the work that needs to get done. But creating that plan, the first thing I would suggest you do, if you're just like, I'm all over the map, is to take time. And by the way, you got to invest time in this. This doesn't magically happen. I didn't magically create this and go Shazam, and then all of a sudden I had the workflow. It took years of trial and error in some scenarios, implementing a tool that I thought I could set it up myself and jack it all up and then start over again. Like, you got to sit down and start at point A. In order to get to point B, you got to know where you are. You got to have point A first. Know where you are first. Sit down. And the way I look at it is that there are positions in your firm. And those positions are, I need a practice management tool. I need a way to collect money. I need a way to send out quotes. I need tax software. I need accounting software. I need payroll solutions. Whatever services you are providing, there are certain positions in that firm. So if you're tax focused, there's certain positions, and those positions need to be filled by what? The absolute best players. Because you just look at a softball team, you got to have like a really good pitcher. If you're going to go anywhere, if you're going to be successful, you got to have a good pitcher. And that means your workflow tool, your practice management better be the best. And I mean the best that works for you, for those things that are important to you. Like Tracy needs to look things up by phone number. That's important to her. That needs to go on the list. So once you've identified the positions in your firm, all the different things that you do, now you've got to find the technology to fill those positions. So the players are the technology. So okay. I tell people, in order to start at point A, identify the positions in your firm, and what players do you have in those positions currently, right? Once you've determined that, now you can say, well, wow, I didn't even think about the fact that I needed a practice management tool. We've been using Excel. Like I had a guy that told me that the other day. He's using Excel for his workflow. I'm like, yeah, no, we probably got to do something about that, right? And so, but once you sit down and do that initial, it's like throwing all the mud on the wall, man. Get a whiteboard, whatever you got to do. Bring your team in. Because it's not about you if you have a team.
Right.
It's about the firm as a whole. And you may not be making the best decisions for the majority. We have a firm of 3. So 33.3333 for each of us. So we're equally absorbed in these processes every single day. If it's not working for Tracy and I don't care, well, I'm going to let her determine it.
Yep.
Right. So we got to get to point A in order to start this plan for the workflow. Then once you sit down and do that, Randy, how are they integrating? Are they integrating? Can they integrate? And if they can't, you might have a problem.
Right.
You might have chosen the wrong solution, right?
So it's not a just pick and go. You got to make sure this is all working together. You got to make sure that this is a symbiotic relationship between all this technology. I think right now, let's take a quick pivot, because I didn't say this before, but we're talking about the positions in the firm, positions in the team, filling those with the right technology and what works best for everybody. This is something that when we're looking at tech stacks, when we're looking at what we need to do as a firm, people shut down too much because they think this is going to take too much time. And you said it wasn't immediate. You've learned over the years, but they say it's going to take too much time and I'm not going to do it, or I ignore it. And then December and January comes around and you still haven't done it and you haven't put these efficiencies in place. Let's talk about, before we go to the next thing, what you have done. And you mentioned softball. You coach softball during tax season. You've eliminated a lot of wasted hours. And so let's talk about that. What did, from a time standpoint, what has this done for you? Now that you can coach softball during tax season, now that I know the number, but you've reduced your hours in tax season to a pretty significant number now of less hours. So give us a little bit of that, just what this overall has done to you, before we try to start to tell people the tech stack you're using, and maybe they can piggyback on that. But what has it done for you personally? Sorry, rambling question there.
I love the question. The question is awesome, because at the end of the day, this is what's mind-blowing to me. And I think, people have different opinions about it. And that's what's great about people, is we all kind of think differently and we can give each other great insight. When I decided to coach college softball during tax season, it was a huge decision. And it was a decision that I made and said, yeah, I'll show up when I can. And then when I went to the first practice, I'm like, I'm never missing this. I feel like I'm a 20-year-old again.
Nice.
I'm clearly not. But anyway, but when I made that decision, I was already moving towards having my tech stack put together. I was not where I am today. But because I made the decision that, you know what? I don't want to wait till I'm retired. Do I really know when I'm going to retire? I don't know if anyone really knows. I guess as you get closer, you're kind of like, all right, maybe another year. I know, Randy, you're all about, I'm not doing taxes next year, but you're gonna. It's like, let's be real. Those people are going to call you. You're going to feel bad because we're people pleasers.
We are.
But I said, why can't I do both? Why can't I? And so because I made that decision, I think it's easy to stay in the this is how I've always done it. I just sacrificed for 2.5 months. There are people who love it. They thrive off of an 80-hour. They say they do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's true, but I made that decision. And because I made that decision, I knew I had to. It was imperative, as fast as I possibly could, to get the technology to work for me. And here's why. I lost a couple people. I wasn't in the office 60, 70 hours a week. And maybe they were. They didn't like that. And so they left. So I had to make changes, not only because I needed the time to go coach, but I needed to fill the gaps of the missing people. And I didn't want to hire more people. I'm like, I'm over this. I'm sick of teaching people how to do stuff and then they leave.
Right.
You know what? Not doing it. So I knew I had to get the technology in place so I could do that. And I have to tell you, I am working 30 to 35 hours. Yeah, maybe there's a week here and there that I get like maybe 40, 45 hours. Those are stressful weeks for me. Like, it's too much. And I got to this point in my life, and this is Coach Pepin's quote, or she learned it from someone else, but what's important now?
Yep.
The WIN philosophy, what's important now? And I realized my mental and physical and emotional health was more important than the good old dollar bill, right? This thing, we all need it. This is $1. We need them. We want them. We love them. Okay. We know that. But then I said to myself, why can't I have this and a great life?
Right.
Why can't I? Nobody's ruling over me. It's my company. And that's what I did. And then the tech stack had to come. It had to, in order to maintain the lifestyle I wanted.
All right. And so yeah, I think it's a great story. It's something that I talk about a lot, and you are an inspiration to me on that. because it is something that, hey, yeah, sure, Dawn put in some extra time to get this tech stack all working, and it was an upfront cost of time. But look at now, you just heard 30, 35 hours a week during tax season because she has integrated technology to help efficiencies within the firm. And so do you want to go into your tech stack a little and just talk about how that all integrates together and the time savings it creates?
Sure. If you want to, I don't know if you want to go to that slide, that
yeah.
I think that would be helpful so people can kind of exactly see what I'm talking about instead of theory.
Is this
so
the
this
one?
Is, yep, this is the one. This is the Team Brolin playing field. I have my own field. I love it. It's very exciting. And so we have developed what I believe to be pretty darn close to a really awesome integrated solution firm. Now we do, so here's the thing. Now keep in mind, we do tax returns, we do tax, we do bookkeeping for our handful of our clients. Liz, you're so cute. Oh, Liz, her comment in the chat's just so sweet. Very humbling, Liz, by the way. I don't take that lightly. That means a lot to me. I'm almost start crying.
Me too.
So what's that?
Me too.
Yeah, that's just so sweet. That means the world.
And Dawn, while you're going over this, I'm going to put up polling question number 2.
Okay, good. Yeah, go ahead and put that polling question up.
Okay.
So, okay, well, Liz just said that I'm her hero and I've accomplished what so many CPAs is not even a pipe dream. And it's just very, very sweet. Like that just means the world to me. So Liz, thank you so much. So we do tax. I also do tax representation, which is something that I'm really passionate about, helping the taxpayers and straightening them out in so many ways. We also do bookkeeping. We do for our relationship pricing clients only. We do not do your bookkeeping by the hour any longer. That changed January 1. So a few clients prior to that, but the big launch was January 1. And so we do, so I said resolution work, tax work, bookkeeping, and then fraud work. Fraud work is a very small part of the practice, meaning we get maybe 1 or 2 cases a year that we work on. We had a murder case, which I think people love to hear that story. This is a fun story. We had a public defender out of San Francisco reach out to someone in California. I have to remember their name, and I'm going to do that because that's important. I was referred by another accountant, and I did some work because there was an owner of a medical manufacturing company. They manufactured like some kind of cool thing that goes on a wheelchair. And the owner was adjusting inventory, so they didn't have to pay out as much in commissions to the sales guy. Sales guy went in, so the sales guy was pretty angry about it. So the sales guy said, well, you know what? You don't want to pay me the 10 grand in commissions. I'm going to go steal some of your inventory and I'm going to resell it so that I need to make money. The guy was desperate, right? So he performed a fraud, as did the owner. Well, they met up and had a conversation and the salesman killed the owner of the business. So why does accounting come into fact? Now, why does accounting come into play in this particular case? Well, they needed to understand what adjustments were made and how things were made. And it was a QBO file. And the only thing the defense, actually the prosecution, the only thing the prosecution would give us for evidence was a PDF of the audit log. Now, in the audit log, it'll show you who was the person who logged into QBO. Thank goodness these people were using separate usernames. Boy, if you don't want to, toot the horn about that, you could be killed for it. So that's the story you can all pass on to your clients. If you don't have separate usernames, someone could be killed. And that could maybe that will help convince them the importance. So what happened was I went and I analyzed that PDF for the time period. And there were only 3 other times over the course of a year where one adjusting entry was made for inventory. There were 28 adjustments on August 31st of this particular year, which showed the adjustment. I couldn't tell what the adjustments were, though. I made that very clear in my letter. I can't tell you the monetary adjustment, but I can tell you that there were 28 of them on this one day by the same user, which happened to be the owner's username. So instead of this guy getting life in prison, he's only got 10 years. So I was a hero to him. I don't know if that's good or bad. I watch a lot of Law and Order. But anyway, that's my story about inventory adjustments. That's a fraud case that I worked on. Anyway, or whatever. So I have maybe more tools than you need. But with relationship pricing, I find that pretty much everything on here is pretty important. We use Lacert, and what I love, and we're on the Intuit advisory board, love that Intuit Tax Advisor works with Lacert. You can, import tax returns into the tool. Love it. I just don't want to have to hand key anything, people. This fingers, listen, I can't be chipping the nails. Can't be doing that. So if that's not a goal for you because you're a guy, just think about the ladies. Just try to let them have their nails painted. And the guys, if you want to paint your nails too, I don't care. But Lacert works really great with SmartVault. SmartVault worked great with DocuSign. And that's been our workflow for many years. And it would have to be a really, really amazing time savings in order for me to switch that process. Works great for me. Then you'll notice like QuickBooks accounting is kind of like the center of all. We have all our clients on QBO. Believe me, I'm a desktop lover. Sad to say, I had my heels dug in for a long time, but we use QBO because, yeah, it's just easier, right? Big deal. So, but QuickBooks Online's got to connect to things, not just for my clients, but it's got to connect for me too. And we currently are using Carbon for our practice management. We're looking at Canopy, we're looking at Financial Sense, we're looking to move something. We're not sure where the needle will go yet, but Liscio works with Carbon, where if we enter our client into Liscio, we love Liscio because we can text with our clients without giving out our cell phone numbers. Like I said, I have the Liscio app on my personal phone, but I choose to look at it if I want to, but I don't want them to have my cell phone number. And so as we're moving on, love that. Liscio dumps that client into QBO for me. Beautiful. I don't have to rehand key. But for myself personally, I use ADP for my payroll processing. ADP, I go in, do my payroll, bang, bang. It enters the journal entry into QuickBooks. I don't think about it. Again, it's doing the accounting for me. For any e-commerce transactions, I'm using Bookkeep. Again, that does real sales reconciliation, making sure the deposits are going. If there's any discrepancies, it alerts you. I set it and forget it. I don't know if you, Randy, did you ever have one of those?
No.
I don't know if anyone out there had to set it and forget it. Take the chicken or the beef, you put it on the thing, put it in the thing, and you push the button and you just walk away. Oh. And then when the chicken's done, it stops. It's a set it and forget it. And that's what Bookkeep does. It just, you set it up once, you're done. You don't even have to think about posting journal entries anymore. So we also, as we've moved into relationship pricing, we're doing a lot of forecast modeling. So we're using Giraffe for that. It's a great tool that pulls the data from QBO for us. Every month that the month closes, the updated information goes into Giraffe. When we're doing S corporations and we're trying to do cash flow management and we're looking at distributions, we can put that in Giraffe and see how much cash will it take to buy a new oil truck, for instance, or buy a building. As these people are trying to plan their cash flow, we're able to use Giraffe to pull real-time data to do some forecasting on what's going to happen, budgeting, all that kind of stuff that you can't do in QBO, people. Like, can you do simple stuff? Sure. But as you're really trying to, you can't, what are you going to do? Put in distributions in QBO? You can't. So I'm saying, listen, we're at this point, we know what the minimum cash flow needs to be. We can make adjustments. Giraffe does a great job of that. It also pulls workforce information from ADP. Again, I think data just needs to be able to go where it needs to go without anyone actually doing it. And that's been the history. So for me to have conversations with clients, which is what I'm doing now, as opposed to managing the data, we're able to just go in and start managing data, not entering data. And that's the key. And then Corpay One, I go on. You want to send me an invoice, you better send it to my Corpay One email, goes into Corpay One. It reads the invoice, picks that all up, and then I go in, approve it, pay it, do all of that process. If Nicole purchases something, she's got to send the invoice in. I got to be able to see it. I need transparency. A great story about that solution for your clients. I don't know if it makes sense, but I had a client on Monday. This is no joke, Randy. This guy says to Nicole, hey, how should I get you the receipts for my subcontractors who have my Amex information? I said, excuse me? You've given your own Amex to your subcontractors?
Yeah, crazy.
So basically what you're telling me is we got to be reactive through this whole process because you're going to give us the receipts. It's after the fact. What are you doing? Right? So anyway, you want to talk about fraud? Listen, cash is king. If people are stealing money from people, it's too late. People don't recoup money in a fraud case.
No. All
they do is pay attorneys and accountants to figure it out, put people in jail. That's all the best you can do. So for me, that's just the way we handle it and the way we manage it. Of course, We use Tri-Merit for all of our specialty tax advisory. And the reason for that is, guess what, people? You don't have to do stuff you don't want to do. I don't want to do that. I don't want to learn it. I don't want to know anything about it. I don't even want to amend the returns after they get their ERC credit. I don't even want to do it. So I let Tri-Merit handle all of that for us. My hosting solution, Swissnet, they device protection right down to my cell phone. They're on here somehow. I don't know how they do it, but they're on here monitoring my activity. And if there's issues, like if I'm logged in here into my hosting solution and then someone tries to log in with my user in Miami, they know that it's not possible for Dawn Brolin to be in two places. They're going to shut it down. RC reports, reasonable compensation. In order for you to do tax advisory work, you got to have reasonable compensation analysis. You need to be able to do it. We implemented Ignition, like I told you that story this past year. And what I love it because it connects with QBO. So it creates the invoices, creates the payments. I don't have to do anything except in the morning when I get up, I take my phone and the first thing I do is I open Bank of America. How much money hit my account today? I'm willing to do that.
Yep.
I wish they would push notify me my balances so it just shows up on my screen, but I don't know if maybe that'll ever come, but that would be great. So that's what we're doing, man. And it's working for us. We're tweaking. I see someone in the chat asked us, what about a CRM?
Yep.
And really for us, we don't have like either like Keep or Salesforce, or we're a small firm. So we don't need to track like necessarily, we don't get, 3, 4, 5 new client phone calls a day. So as far as client relationship management, we just use our practice management tool for that. And what I saw in Financial Sense today, the amount of information that you can customize and put into that system to help identify when did they call? When was their first call? You could post notes in there about it. It does just as good of a job. We do that with Carbon now. It does just as good of a job as adding anything that would be a real true CRM system. So I hope that answers your question. And if not, please feel free to ask a follow-up question.
Would Liscio be a form of a CRM, you think? I mean, all the client information is in there. I just don't know if it tracks.
It can, but Liscio is more meant to be, all right, they're already clients. And now we're going to communicate with each other.
That's true.
Which is nice, though, that you asked that, because the key to the technology is to not assume that clients are not going to want to adopt the tools and systems that you're using. Please try to keep that out of your evaluation. Don't think about what you think they want. That comes with the relationship pricing. Don't think about what you think they want. Think about what you need to run your firm properly. That's what's important.
Yep. I'm going to put polling question number 3 up while we go to some additional questions. And that was great. I think, let me throw this up. Just letting everybody know, polling question 3 is up. Do not forget to answer.
Make sure you're still there.
Yeah.
Kristen Keats, you better be there.
Are you there, Kristen? We got a bunch of people getting their answers in immediately. So I got them. That's great. All right. So we went through your tech stack. Again, I can't stress enough how important that is to get all these efficiencies in place, getting this technology that works together to free you up for whatever your passion is. Dawn's passion is softball and coaching softball. And she does that during tax season. In fact, didn't you go on the road during tax season to a tournament or something?
Yeah. So we go south every year for a week. The first year I did it, I brought a load of tax returns with me. And you know what I did? Not one of them. So that was the last time I brought tax. Now, am I available? Can I answer Liscio? Can Tracy and Nicole Slack me and I can answer them? Sure. I'm not absent 100%. I want my firm to keep moving forward. But we also, like today, I have practice from 2:15 to 4:15. You know what? Am I going to come back to the office? Probably not. Probably not today.
Right.
So that gives me the ability to do that. There are days where we play an away game and we have to leave at 11 in the morning. I'm gone from 11 in the morning. I'm done. I only get, when I only get in, I get in at 10, Randy. I can't be coming in here earlier than 10. Like, I don't wanna. I gotta make my bed. I gotta make sure I got stuff done. I gotta do a puzzle on my phone before I even get out of bed.
Exactly. No coffee though, right?
I do not drink coffee.
You don't need it.
Once in a while, I do it because I'm like, yeah, you know what? I kind of just want to have some coffee. But can you imagine me on coffee?
No. You already got the energy that you need. All right. So I mentioned this before, but technology integration gets people to shut down. I mean, honestly, they think, oh, I just don't want to have to deal with that. So what would be your advice? How can they maybe stick their toe in this to get started? And what would be the best way to, give them some advice on that?
Yeah, my best advice could be, number one, understand and accept that it's going to take some time to integrate and or to implement and integrate. But for me, it's taking the biggest pain point, whether it's chasing documents, whether it's permanent document storage, whether it's posting if you're posting payroll journal entries into QuickBooks, you need to come to my house. You need to come here. We need to sit down. We're going to have a meeting. We're going to fix that. But pick one thing. Don't try to solve all of your problems at the same time. And when you sit down, and we still do this every year. My system isn't perfect. It's working, but it can always get better. Find the one biggest pain point. Are you still having people manually sign the 8879? Stop it. You're wasting time. Are you still printing tax returns and putting them in these things right here? I got one right here. Somebody gave these to me. I chucked them right over. These fancy things that somebody's got to put together and staple. And what are we doing? Why do we still have those? That sounds like a silly thing, but how much time people are like, well, then you're going to put people out of work. No, I'm not. I'm going to have somebody do something that they can use their brain for. I have other things, plenty of other fires to put out. They don't need to be doing that. Take one thing that's a pain point. It doesn't, even if it isn't technology, solve for that. I would say 99% of the time, the technology is going to solve your problem. And then join Facebook groups. I'm in Facebook groups, usually at night before I go to bed, in the morning before I get up. And it's not because I feel like I'm going to go in there and give people the best advice in the world. I just want to see what people are talking about. I want to learn what are they having issues with? What are they doing for a solution? What are other advice people are giving? I learned so much from being in Facebook groups. Yep. Those are just, keep it simple, slow it down.
Would you have any advice on some groups that you would recommend?
Well, if you're into tax, there's one I always say this one because this one's one of my favorite. There's a lot of QuickBooks ones. Accounting Firm Influencers is a great one. QB Talks, that's one Liz does. There's Jeff Weathers has a great one. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But I love Sisterhood of the Lady Tax Pros.
All right.
I love that. And it's not about women. It's not a women only thing. It's not that. It's just, there's a mix of fun and venting and advice. And it's a really great group of people. I really enjoy, that's probably the one I enjoy the most. But Jeff Weathers has a great one going. He does a great job. There's a ton of them out there.
Right. And Kelly Parks, you mentioned earlier. She has one as well. I
think hers is the accounting. I can't remember which one hers is, but Kelly Parks is a great resource. If you ever can listen to her on a webinar, a podcast, or anything she's doing, she's crushing it.
Yep. And she will be on the Unique CPA podcast later this summer. Probably that'll be released. We recorded already. Okay. So you kind of talked about this a little bit. Eliminating bottlenecks, finding those pain points, start there. Anything else you want to add on that? What you do?
I want people, when it comes to relationship pricing, which I've got a course I'm putting together on how I did it. Is it the only way to do it? Nope. Did it work for me? Heck yeah, it worked for me. We have 19 clients, $40,000 a month in revenue. Every single month on the second day of the month, it hits my bank account. It's my favorite day of the year. At the favorite day of the month, second day of the month, I got the money in my bank account. I have payroll for the month. I have all our costs. Everything's covered. I don't worry about money anymore, people. I've been a worry wart for 24 years of my career about money. Is there enough money in the bank account? Because I got to pay my employees. I got to take care of my family, and I worry about it. When I moved to relationship pricing this past fall and into January, it's all over. Yes, it's amazing what cash flow can do for your mental health, Kristen. It's so true. because we worry about that stuff because we are responsible for so much. When you can level off your cash flow, that comes in. This is how, for me, the relationship pricing with my business clients takes care of the year, takes care of everybody's salary, takes care of all of our technology costs, takes care of everything. When I do tax returns, when I do tax advisory, I do the IRS representation or the fraud cases. You know what that is? That is bonus money.
Right.
I don't worry about getting, I mean, I always get paid up front, but I don't worry about money anymore. And I never wanted money to be my focus. I never did. Money is just necessary because we have to live. But in order to live, we got to have peace in our souls. And we got to have the ability to have time to do the things we love to do. And it may not be softball. It might be horseback riding like Heather Satterley. That's what she loves to do. Look at Stacey Byrne, who's out there traveling the world all the time. Randy Crabtree is literally on a vacation for the rest of the year. Like, what we do and the decisions we make and whatever those results are, it can either kill you or it can keep you alive. And so because I changed the way my mindset was great, but the much more important thing was to take action and do something about it and invest the time now so that next tax season, you're not having your hair on fire and you're not frustrated. You're not frustrated with your clients. You're not frustrated with your staff. I'm having people pay up front. I don't care if you ever come with your tax documents. Don't care. I got your money. That's not really true, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
I do.
We have to take control. We are the smartest people there are. Accountants, whatever level you want to call it, whatever your education is, it doesn't even matter. People who work in this space are the smartest people on earth. We know this because attorneys, I probably shouldn't say that. They charge less than us. I don't understand that, but we've got to take care of ourselves first. And it's the whole concept of putting your mask on before you can put someone else's on. So if you're advising clients, your hair's on fire and you don't have cash flow and you don't have technology, you're killing yourself. What good are you going to be to your clients?
Yep.
And I want everybody to have that peace of mind, peace in their soul, that they're okay. And that this doesn't have to be a murder situation where we're killing ourselves and taking years off our lives because we don't have to do that. That's never been a requirement. So take charge of yourself, of your firm, be the best you can be, enjoy your life, make some money, and help other people with their businesses and do what you got to do.
This is sounds like a spot where we should wrap up because I am motivated. I'm ready to go. I'm going to get, but I want to bring us back for a second to, you talked about you've changed the relationship pricing, but let's define that because this is a big, you did this last fall, you implemented this and I was with you. I think when you got this first client signed up and now you, like you just said, I think 19 of them are signed up on relationship pricing. Let's define what relationship pricing is so people can understand what you're talking about.
Sure.
Oh, and I'm going to put up polling question 4 while you're doing that.
There we go. Polling question 4. Relationship pricing is about doing whatever is needed to be done for the client. And guess what? That list is exhaustive. There's a billion things we can be doing for our clients, right? So at the end of the day, we start with something simple. I started simple and I said, okay, what's the minimum I'm already doing for my clients? Doing the tax returns, doing the bookkeeping, doing, I don't know, that was pretty much it. Anything compliance related. And I said, okay, that's going to be the basic level. That's going to be that's level 1. Okay. Now we got the second level. So we're like middle school softball. That's number 1. High school softball's number 2. That's the second level. We've moved up. We're playing a little more, they're harder competition. So we're at level 2. So we've got our basics and we added on to that. Reasonable compensation, entity structure analysis, which by the way, RC Reports has a tool for that now. Looking at wills. Do they have wills? Do they have buy-sell agreements? Cash flow planning, budgeting. Some things that we aren't going to do for those first level people. We're going to get paid more by those first level people, but we're not going to do a whole ton for them. Then we added on, 5 or 6 more things we can do. Then we took it to we're now in college. We're playing college softball This is not travel ball, people. This is legit. You don't pay to play. Don't cry on the bench if you're sitting there. Do something about that. That's a whole nother thing. That's for the team when I get to practice. But the third level, we're going to do the reasonable comp. We're going to set up maybe 401k plans. We're going to do a lot heavier, more complicated tax analysis. We're going to take a look at cash flow and say, oh, let's distribute it to you guys. Now let's get that money in a money market because you guys are reserved. You don't really want to do 401ks or stocks. Like you're risk averse. So let's at least put you in a money market at 4% while you're waiting to buy your next rental property. Because this is because guess what? I'm learning what their goals are, not what my goals are for them. So and that is all about conversation, relationship, handling things for people. We did, for a will buy sell agreement. Did I do that? No. I said, hey, my attorney, let me bring you one of my clients. Okay, guys, you guys talk. I'm facilitating the conversation. I'm not a wealth management person either. I don't even understand half of it. I know what the implications are on a tax return, but I don't know how you set all that stuff up and how it all goes. And so I use my partner down at InvestMark Advisory Service. I send everything to that. It's about building relationship with your clients, learning about their goals to set that. And like I said, I'm going to have a whole course on how to do this. Eric Green and I will talk about that in a minute, but it's really about defining the scope. And then when a client comes to us and there's a DOL audit, that's not part of relationship pricing. We're going to do a different price for that engagement, right? So it helps keep the scope of the work you're doing intact because you're going to know, and this happened to us. We knew we're like, this is not part of what we're doing for your every day to day, the stuff that we're doing with you. It's going to be 20 grand for us to handle that DOL audit.
Right. So do you have, and we're running out of time, and I don't want to hold you away from
You're fine. Those kids all come in hot. Don't worry.
All right. But is it, you said you have 3 different levels. So do you have 3 tiers of relationship pricing?
Yes, we do. And so if you go to dawnbrolin.com, you'll see the whole text that you have to register with me so I can email you because that's the rule. You just register. That's all you do. And then I actually have the letters I wrote that describe the different relationship pricing levels. I have 2 sets of 3. One is if we're doing your bookkeeping or if we're not doing your bookkeeping. I charge them the same. So even if they're doing their own bookkeeping, we're still overseeing the books.
Right.
But there's free resources. You can go to my website, dawnbrolin.com. You can get free resources. I have pricing lists up there for my tax returns. Take whatever you want. I want you to be successful. That's all I care about.
That's awesome. All right. Well, we unfortunately don't have time to get into advisory, which is extremely important. And we talked about this last week, how important advisory in general is to having a more efficient firm, to maybe spreading out the seasonality of tax season, because now you're working with these clients all year long on tax planning and advisory rather than just, January, February, March after the fact. Rather than being a reporter, right, you're going to be an advisor. And so that's extremely important. We might have to do another one of these, but we're going to need to, 1, get everybody off at the top of the hour, and 2, get you to softball. And so let me just wrap up, and I'll give you a final second here, Dawn, to go over a few things that you wanted to tell us about.
Yeah, just real quick. It's typically the first Monday of every month. We just launched it in May, first Monday of every month, but because I'll be at Engage for June, it'll be June 12th at 2 and 4. You go to my website, if you go to events, there's Dawn's Dugout there. You can sign up. We have to register to come. Send questions ahead of time if you want to, so that I can be prepared. It's an opportunity just to have conversation with all of you. We had a great turnout in May. It was awesome. So June 12th, so Dawn's Dugout, that's going to go on every single month because I want to help you. Let me help you, right? And then after that, there's one more slide, I think. So Eric Green and I are having a practitioners advisory summit. We're going to dig deep into a lot of what we talked about today in much more detail. We'll have a couple of, Randy's actually going to be part of that summit. We've got also Alnisha Jones is going to be part of that summit, and Diana Crawford, to talk about what we're all doing when it comes to advisory, business advisory, tax advisory. How are we pricing? How is all this happening? How can you get more involved? And Randy's going to help us level the ship and understand what's most important now, like we talked about. So Randy, go ahead and wrap up.
All right. Well, a couple last things. This is what Dawn and I talked about at the beginning, the Accounting Cornerstone Foundation. This is the scholarship foundation that Dawn helped put together. And I was very fortunate to be able to be on the board of directors. This is going to send individuals to conferences who have not had the opportunity to do this in the past. There isn't a scholarship application site available. You can see down at the bottom if people are interested. In addition, obviously, we are looking for donations on this as well. And we want to send people to these life-changing events. And Dawn will attest to this. That did it for her and it did it for me. Conferences in general have really changed my life. I mean, it's amazing that what it's done for me. And like I said, I know Dawn will agree with that. And so anything, if nothing else, go to the website, take a look at what we're doing. If you can, donate something. If you know somebody that needs this help to get to their very first conference, have them submit an application. There's a handful of conferences available. And then last, and I know we're over time here, the Unique CPA conference will be the end of August this year. There's the information. You can go to Tri-Merit's website and get additional information. Dawn will be speaking there. So right now, I just know the registrations are going through the roof because I said Dawn will be speaking there. You'll get to see her in real life.
Bring a helmet and a seatbelt.
Yep. And with that being said, I want to thank everybody for being part of this today. Any information you want, you can go to our website, Tri-Merit's website, get it. There's our phone number, email address, everything else. Dawn, I really appreciate you doing this. Your information is great. You are an inspiration. And if people can do an ounce of what you're doing, it's going to help them be more efficient.
That's all I care about. I love it. Thank you so much, Randy. You know, I talk to you anytime. I love just conversing with you all the time.
All right. Well, we'll start this up again next hour. No, go coach softball. Thanks,
you know
everybody.
It. All right. Undefeated, by the way, in the conference right now. So we got work to do. 2 more games will be undefeated.
You got to keep us getting updates on this.
You bet. Thanks,
right.
Randy.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.